We have all heard of entrepreneurs, but how many of us have heard of robot entrepreneurs? Are you curious to find out what is it like to create a successful startup and the interesting journey of an entrepreneur, and how to incorporate digital innovation to be the next market leader? Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Tony Tan. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur, a keynote speaker, and the host of the Tony Tan Show and podcast. I'm bringing the future into the present. To get these interesting insights, I would like to welcome our next guest, Keith Tan, CEO of Crown Digital and Crown Coffee, to share his insights with us. Welcome, Keith Tan. Keith.
Hi, Tony.
Welcome to the Tony Tan Show.
Thanks for having me.
Wow, thanks for coming and congratulations. I heard that you just launched the most advanced version of your Ella robots just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's finally, it's market ready. So we've been working hard on it and, we're ready to launch, especially with the pandemic. People are looking at contactless solutions, and I thought, hey, you know what? That's just perfect timing for us. And here we are.
I heard that you made quite a big splash, huh? There's a lot of key people and key media organizations that was there to grace that event.
I think my PR team did a great job.
Yeah.
They sent it out, and I think that the message resonated well with the media, so they picked it up. Yeah.
And also a Singapore minister, I heard.
Yeah, so I wrote into MTI and they helped me out, and because it's relevant. It's relevant to what we are facing today, in the pandemic world, and how that could really help, moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, well done, Keith, especially now that the Singapore government is talking about digitization and automation for us to be more competitive in the post-COVID world. I think your message will resonate with a lot of people and also the direction as a whole that the country is taking.
Yeah, and I hope today's conversation we can dive a little deeper into that and I'll share some insights about our journey as well.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting. I have read about your profile. I did some research on you, and it really intrigues me. You started off in the finance, banking industry, and then you move on to become a cafe entrepreneur. And then you became a digital innovator along the way. How did that happen?
I think when I left my previous job in finance, my friends were like, "Are you crazy? You're getting into food. Are you getting? It's the toughest industry ever." But I'm passionate about coffee, and most of all, I'm passionate about people, relationships. And my previous job, I was looking after families, their wealth, and it's a very personal relationship I have with my customers, and hosting has always been like in me, to look after people, making them feel good, and coffee is my passion. So I thought, hey, you know what, I was 35 years old then, and it's time to be an entrepreneur myself. And then I started Crown Coffee, jumped straight into it, no experience whatsoever, and then really carve it out from scratch, and then obviously face all the challenges, and then went on to technology. But I can share more of how that actually came about, and what were the trigger points, what made me pivot into technology.
Yeah, I mean, cafes is a great lifestyle, right? Everybody wants to, me personally, I would like to have a cafe, own a cafe, and to me that's something like, it's a bucket list to me. But it is a very competitive industry, and you're seeing cafe pops up left, right, center in the last couple of years. How was your experience like with the first couple of years setting up Crown Coffee?
So when I started Crown, it was with a mission to scale it up. It wasn't meant to be like that one shop, where I'm running it as an owner operator, I wanted a business that would be scalable. So on the onset, I've already, automated the coffee in a sense. I was using an Emphasis super automatic coffee machine. I've taken away that human element to how coffee is being produced. But obviously, jumping straight in, having my first shop right just behind here in Lavender, gave me the opportunity to learn, what it takes to run a cafe. So, like I said, my plan was to scale up the business. I want to be, I want to have a chain of Crown Coffees. Obviously, automating the coffee alone wasn't enough. You still need the human touch. You need the human capital, and that was one of the most challenging things I've faced throughout the whole journey. And thankfully, I'm in an industrial estate. And that's where I met a lot of my customers, interesting customers, and all the corporates around me, and eventually they became my partners.
Yeah, and I remembered like 3 years or 2 years ago, I visited your cafe, and it was really different from how it looks like today. It was a bit more cozy. Maybe I will use that word. Today, it's a little bit more sophisticated. And during those days, I don't remember that there was this digital push, or at least it's not obvious to me at that time of my visit. How did you decide to move from a cafe owner to advanced digital innovation?
Right. It was through the pain points I faced. We were very lucky. I think it was my 6th month in business, and I was approached to open up a second outlet in DHL's Innovation Center. So I took it on. I established our second outlet there within the first year. Still a newbie, new kid on the block. Still trying to learn the business, and we had a second outlet. And it was in DHL's Innovation Center where I was exposed to robotics. They had a Baxter robot in there, and I remember I have a video of, I was like, can I program the robot to pick up a croissant, and we did that, and then that was the time in 2016, late 2016, when everyone's talking about digital transformation, go digital, and I kind of ride the wave, but. Eventually, we opened up 3 outlets, another one, the third one in SIT, and I faced a huge challenge with manpower. So I'll sum it up to 4 main pain points, running a traditional coffee business or F&B business. The first one is high rents, location, right? You want to go to a good place with high traffic, you pay high rents. And then second one is labor. In Singapore, it's hard to attract talents to want to join, this industry. And then we have to hire foreign labor, and then you have the quota issue as well. And really to find the right fit, the right people to be part of the team, to grow the team. That was really difficult. And then thirdly, it's that I realized with a lot of turnover, because people come and go, especially when it could be students or someone who's in between jobs and they're willing to take on the job. You take them on, you train them, you retrain them, and they leave. So I think if you're lucky, you train them and they stay for a year or 2, right? If you're not, they could be leaving a couple of months, and then you'll be training again. And that leads, and then, that cost of training, retraining, hiring, maybe even firing, that's a cost that I think a lot of businesses don't really have, it really depends, right? And that's that uncertainty there. And that leads on to the 4th pain point, which is consistency. For a brand, you need a consistency. McDonald's, Starbucks have done a great job, because that's over years of experience, with SOPs, operational, standards. But as a new guy on the block, where you don't have a whole operational team helping you set up the SOPs, it was really, really challenging. So these 4 things, rental, labor, training cost, retraining cost, and then the inconsistency was enough it was compelling enough for me to say, hey, let's find a better way. There's got to be a better way. And we were surrounded by a lot of tech companies. So, one of them is Intel. They are always in our cafe drinking coffee, and it spurred me to really think about how I can leverage on AI and robotics to solve those problems. And then that's how
I find this amazing, Keith. I find it amazing because to run a cafe operation, to understand coffee when you don't have coffee background, it is already a lot. And you take on digital innovations. You take on the world of robotics. You take on the world of artificial intelligence. Some people say you need rocket scientists to do that. What gave you that courage, that big leap of faith? Yeah, you're interested in tech. I get it. You have some problems. I get it, right? But even that, but that spur for you to take that leap of faith, it demands a lot out of a person, actually.
I invested my savings into Crown. We established 3 outlets, and then I think it was really, really painful one day on a Monday morning when it was raining, and I had 3 staff calling sick, and I had to be the cleaner, which I'm fine. I'm hands-on. My HR had to do other work in the cafe just to keep things going. That was a time when I really told myself, we need to solve this problem, because that's 3 outlets. My dream of having a chain is like, that's it. How am I going to scale if you keep facing problems like this? That really was a trigger point for me. I have to think of a way to automate the entire process. So it starts with a problem statement and a will to solve it. And then I think if you internalize that and you really want to solve it, somehow you'll present yourself into all these opportunities, and so Intellers are in my cafe, and I'll just talk to them. I'll just say, hey, I plan to do this. What do you think? So I think we got a lot of support from Intel. So how it really started was when I approached them. They were having coffee, lunch in my cafe. I said, hey, we're doing this with AI, and that lady happened to be the Asia Pac manager, marketing manager. She said, Keith, I'm going to get the right team to talk to you. So they went through a few rounds, and eventually it was the Internet of Things group. IOTG. Yep. They look after all the retail transactions, anything transactional, and I fall into that category. They went like, Keith, amazing story you've got, and we would like to help you. And we, the timing is just right. We have an event coming up in a month's time, where all our ODM partners and ISVs, ODMs are original design manufacturers. They're like the OEMs. The ISVs are the independent software vendors. They're going to be there, for an event. You should come. And I was given that 20-minute slot to share my story. And I remember after that, lunchtime, when everyone was having lunch, and I got the ODMs come in and say, Keith, amazing story, we want to help you. So back then it was just purely from an idea, trying to solve a problem, and then I was exposed to these group of companies where they have the resource. I had that use case. They have the resource and they're willing to help. So there's a lot of collaboration from that onwards. So Intel did a great job matchmaking me, to the right partners. Like, okay, Keith, you should talk to these guys. They are able to help you, or they will not copy you, or that kind of that helped me a lot. So things just progress from there. But it's really the openness, and then if you are determined to solve those problems, somehow
the universe will come. The universe
will talk to you, and then because you open yourself up to these opportunities, and just being open and just chatting and sharing ideas, and then we found the partners to kind of piece it together. So yeah, that's how we really got things started.
Yeah, but the good thing about you, Keith, I knew you didn't stop there. The latest iterations I've seen augmented reality, I've seen gamification. You are very forward-looking in how you are bringing all this latest concept to augment what you already have?
So, we are yes, the robot is Ella. She's automating that physical laborious job of a barista. And it's hard, right? Robots, there's this conversation about robotics taking away jobs. Is AI replacing humans? That's hard because it's a physical, especially in your face, getting a robot to make your coffee. It's like you can't be more in your face than that, right? Is robots coming? It's But if you want to look at transformation, right? And I've seen how I've seen a lot of case studies where transformation didn't work out as planned. I think it requires an ecosystem, a really, really well thought out plan as to how to bring it to market. And it's not about solving it with the robots and that's it. You got to look at the soft side of things, the content creation, and what we have replaced, in the sense we have automated, so that people ask me, okay, Keith, there's no human touch then, right? So we are not replacing humans in that sense. So Ella is designed to fit in the gaps where you need convenience. So you need to have a very clear understanding as to where her value add is, and how do you then augment her value proposition with digital tools, in terms of gamification, in terms of content. All that has to be well thought out, and because then that friction, that reluctance to accept, because humans we are creatures of we don't want change. We are so used to our daily routines. We don't want to change, but change is coming, and to push that change and to make it more palatable or acceptable, you need to look at the entire holistical approach towards that change. So we looked at all these things, and it's really, if you looked at our slogan, right? We are the experience that matters. We came from a coffee shop. We build experiences, and if I can't do that with people, obviously we're going with digital. Then we have to look at ways to do it digitally, right? So we engage through all these digital tools, create the gaming, the experience to consumers at a scalable manner. Yeah.
I think that's really interesting, because today you look at the society is multi-generational, and it's all about the experience, it's all about personalization today. Right? And I see that you can give them the best of both worlds. We see that we want to go to a cafe and we have these very exciting baristas who will talk to you with tattoo and a year start. And at the same time, there are other generation of people or other type of people who likes to have the digital experience, and we can blend this together and we can reach out to a bigger audience. I think that's a fantastic thing. And I think that's an amplification of what augmented capabilities are we talking about earlier when you mentioned that. Keith, the next question, I'm just curious. We know that technology is here to stay. Innovation will continue to accelerate. What do you think are things that's uniquely human that allow us to coexist with this technology and build upon what is human today?
I think I get where you're coming from. I think there's a bit of a fear, right? There's fear because there's a fear of unknown. You don't know what's coming up, right? And then you hear things on media that, AI is replacing this and that. There is this fear. I think as a society, especially in Singapore, we really need to move forward. Robotics and AI is here to assist us, and we really should leverage on them, right? To automate things that are already laborious. You read in the papers, labor shortages. Is this a real problem? And embrace it. And the humans can then focus on human side of things, the human experience, the relationship building. Leave all these, manual, repetitive tasks to the robots. But to take that step forward and build a sustainable business model, something that is, is relevant. It's not easy. It's to me, I mean, I'm in it. I face a lot of challenges putting this together, but it's not easy, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's just precisely because it's so hard right? That we're doing it.
Yeah. You know what I always share with people, if I knew how difficult it is to start an organization, maybe I would never will. But it is a growth journey.
It is, and lots of ups and downs, but it's all these small victories along the way kept me going.
It just grows you, isn't it? One challenge after the next, and you're just
if
like
you
a rubber
don't
band.
die, you get stronger, right?
Yeah.
And then you realize, there are times when I felt like that's it. I can't. That's as bad as it gets. It's impossible. And then you get by and you're down, and then the next day you wake up and you say, hey, you know what? I survived. You survive. And sometimes when you step out of it and you look at it, you know what? You're stronger, and then you get people who believe in you, and they're spurring you forward, no matter how hard it is. And it's hard, if you want to get into some of those details, I can share some. It's really, really tough, but yeah.
Keith, you have been doing all this. You have just launched this latest iteration of the most advanced version of your creation. In the midst of the deepest recession, in the midst of a global pandemic, how did you do that? How COVID-19 has created so much disruption to so much organizations, especially retail. How do you power forward and come out where you are and still launch all this innovation according to what you plan? How did this COVID-19 impact you?
Right. So we started Crown Digital in 2018. And then I started, so it all started with a POC, the proof of concept that, I didn't have a tech team back then. It was just an idea. And then through Intel's partnerships, collaboration, I tapped onto these ODMs and ISVs resources, and we created a very simple proof of concept. And that went on to do a lot of events in Marina Bay Sands. So we kind of refined our solution along the way, stress tested in the most difficult environment. And then eventually when I realized, okay, we're getting some traction, and that's, it's really time to start building our own IP. It's not like relying on somebody else's, help. You need to build your own. And then I started Crown Digital. So the digital team really, I hired them. The hiring process is, oh my God, how do you even put out a job description for a CTO, right? And the tech team, right? So eventually I hired a team, and that started in 2019. So our focus was, by then I was running two companies. There's Crown Coffee, our retail business, and then the digital team, they were just housed upstairs in a mezzanine. So it's a small team. And so we started our digital journey early. And it's a separate team. I didn't try to do it from within. I set up a different team with a renewed focus on digitalization and to disrupt ourselves. So Crown Coffee, if you notice, hasn't changed much. It's the retail, because I think you want to change from inside is very hard. You need to form a brand new team and do things differently. So we had a head start because the decision was made, when I decided to pivot into technology. So I kept my traditional business running to keep us true to the retail and to understand the pain points. To remind us, every time I tell my team, I say, you know what? This is here to remind us how hard it is in retail and what we need to do to solve those problems. That Crown Coffee that you see there is still doing it the traditional way. And then, so we had a head start. So I remember, I think we were all sitting there at 4 p.m. and listening to PM Lee's address to the nation. And that was when he announced the circuit breaker.
Oh man, I remember that moment.
Yeah, we all sat there, we all listening to him, and immediately I told myself, okay, because we are in the industrial estate, so we are surrounded by all offices, and everyone's going to be working from home, right? And before that, already we felt it, because they have the AB teams, and business was already affected, and we saw it coming. And with the lockdown, or rather the circuit breaker, I'm like, our 95% of our customer base will be wiped off. So I quickly told my team, I said, you know what, let's turn this into a strength. We need to help Crown Coffee. So we have already been developing a mobile app for Ella. I said, let's do it quickly now. Put all the items from the cafe into the app, right? Launch it. And we're right next to a road. There's a driveway. We're gonna, we're gonna do a drive-through. I don't care what, the authorities say, if it's illegal to park a car next to our cafe. We have a road there. Just do it until someone stops you, right? Yep. So we launched a drive-through with a mobile app. So, and during the circuit breaker, because no one's coming in, right? And we had the chance to really relook at our operations and things that didn't make sense in the past or things that weren't profitable. We had a chance to go, completely stopped it, right? So I would say the circuit breaker was a reset button, for a lot of operations. We optimized a lot of things. And I remember the app development was today we launched it. We faced the problems. Tonight we patch it and then we deploy at 2 a.m. The next morning is a new version. And we did that relentlessly. Like, the whole team was completely, it was just, agile, right? And we created an app for what you see today was done during the circuit breaker. So I think we managed to accelerate our development, during that, that time. And then everyone was saying, Keith, now with this social distancing and the requirement for contactless, isn't Ella perfect? I said, yeah, it is. And at that time, Ella was still on the way back from New York. It was stuck in customs, And eventually we managed to get her in, and we accelerated the integration from the app, from the cafe with Ella, and then we quickly just put it out to market. Yeah.
I'm just curious, Keith, did you use a lot of digital marketing during this COVID-19 period to strengthen your business?
Yes, we did. I mean, we were, like, for the last 3 years, we didn't really do any marketing because we have a hyper-local crowd of customers who already know us. Right. So they kind of walk in on their own, right? And when the circuit breaker kicked in, we had to reach out to customers to tell them, hey, we are around, right? So we double up on our marketing, Facebook, Instagram. And you can see, if you look at our history, a lot of content really only came out during the circuit breaker. And that's a blessing, because today, post-pandemic, post-circuit breaker, phase 2, our business has done, we were actually better off than pre-COVID days.
Wow, that speaks a lot.
Yeah, so we have a new group of customers, and I remember phase 2 when we had the first group of customers coming in, they were like, so I'm always very curious. How did you know about us? We're in an industrial estate. Do you just happen to walk by, or you saw us online? They were like, oh no, we've been buying your food on our app, and my husband and I decided, okay, now that we can come, we want to check out Crown Coffee. So we had a lot of those. It was heartwarming that, during the circuit breaker, when they couldn't dine out and they were using the app either through deliveries or drive-through, and then finally they want to check us out. Yeah.
Well, so what started was a digitization journey. You pivoted like a few 100% through COVID-19, and you layer it with a delicious layer of a digital marketing cream. And you got fantastic result as a result of all these initiatives.
Yeah, I think we need to adapt ourselves and be very, very nimble and make decisions fast, and survive. So do whatever it is to first survive. And then you have a future, right? And it was relentless. I mean, the team did a fantastic job, and that's how you bond together, Yeah.
I must say, this is a very amazing story. It is a story that inspires a lot of people, myself included, about how and what you need to do, both as a leader with vision, persistent, a strategy, and the right team of people. I think you can turn a crisis into a huge opportunity, and in your case, it really pans out very, very well.
It's life is what you make of it, right? It is what it is. Deal with it, and make the best out of it. That's why I say, right? It is what it is. Life will throw you a curveball, and you're faced with the most, ridiculous challenges sometimes, and then it is what it is. Just deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah, Keith, I'm going to deal with mine. So I have this question for you. For a lot of our audience out there, they are looking to create a startup, right? A lot of them wants to be an entrepreneur. What do you think is the 3 things that they should consider before they take on this journey?
Okay. Your appetite for risk. That's number 1. And your tenacity, to go through the most hellish times, right? Going down to hell and up multiple times. So I would say it's, first of all, your appetite for risk, because I think in Singapore, entrepreneurship is very expensive. The cost of entrepreneurship in Singapore is very expensive. I've met a lot of friends. They were like, Keith, you know what? I'm so envious of you because you dare. I don't dare, because I have a family, I have a house to pay for, I have a car to pay for. It's the way we are, the society. It's a lot of risk that you take as an entrepreneur, and it's you have that window when you have gained enough experience working for people, and then just before you're 40 and above, or when you feel like, okay, I can take some risk, and I don't have that much dependence, right? And if all fails, I can always get back into a job. So that's like the safety net, right? That window is very short, because once you pass that, or either that, or then you will have worked all your life and you've saved enough money, and you're in your 50s and you say, hey, you know what, there's something I've not fulfilled yet. But then do you have that energy, right, to do it? Because it's tough. You need to have that energy every day,
the
grit, and then your tenacity, meaning how far are you willing to push yourself, right, through thick and thin, like literally down to the mud you get in there. How far are you willing to go through this? You need to ask yourself that. Are you willing to go through that? I think, and then the third one is, you need to ask yourself a true question. Is your solution realistic? I think a lot of people are doing things that they're passionate about, which is great. You need to be passionate to start with. But you need to ask yourself a very, grounded question, and be real and truthful to yourself. Is this something that is going to be significant? Is it your dream, right, that you want to fulfill? Or is there value that you're going to bring to the table? I think at the end of the day, it's the value. And innovators, entrepreneurs bring value to the table, to society, or to your customers, or to your followers. You bring value, and that value has to be real. It's not something that you think. You need to verify that. You need to make sure that you're not just doing that because you think it's value. You need to make sure that people think that's value too. So that's being very important, because that would determine whether your solution would have a market fit. It will determine whether your solution will be adopted by others. And you need to be very real, true to yourself. Tenacity, whether you're willing to go through all that. And then the risk appetite. Are you willing to take that risk? I think there's 3 points, really. Yeah.
So, Keith, what if today our audience come and tell you, Keith, hey, look, I have the tenacity, I think I have a lot of value, and I have what it takes that you have just mentioned. Can you give me some business tips then that allows me to accelerate my path to be more successful? Maybe I can save some of lessons that you have learned, so that I don't need to repeat some of the difficult lessons that you have gone through, so that my life as an entrepreneur becomes a little smoother.
I would say you need to go through all that pain. There's no shortcut to this. You need to bang on walls, face all the difficulties, and then how you emerge out of those difficulties is how you build your resilience, and your tenacity is tested. How you solve problems on the go, how you deal with problems, and not let things crumble, because these are life lessons that you learn only when you do it.
Yes.
And when, if everything goes well, you've never been really stress tested yourself, just put yourself out there, but don't go off an angle where it's not ever going to work. So ask yourself a very, very, grounded question. Is there going to be value that you create to the society as a whole or your customers? You need to bring value. Then when you go for it, do your best, right? And try. And if things don't work out, find a way forward. And it's this ability to find solutions in the most dire of situations, right? That defines you. And so then whatever problems comes, and you'll survive. You kind of will just get there, And that is something the textbook won't teach you.
Yes.
You need to experience it yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So just do it. Yeah.
I read somewhere that this is what life gives you. When they throw challenges at you, they're asking you this question: how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
And every time you look them down, you stare them down, and you say, I'm going to go through this, you're telling life that I want this badly. And after life throws a few challenges at you, you have proven that you really want this, things will happen.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And if you're doing something that is of value, people will see it. People will come to you. And if you're open to collaborate, and, the thing is to be open, to work with people. And everyone's going to bring different skill sets, different values to you, and be open to work with them. They will come and assist you, and sometimes even if they don't assist you with, say, money, they could help you in other ways. And these kind of help that comes along, especially when you're most difficult times, right? Then the universe is kind of helping you, and it's hard, but people believe in you. They see value in what you're doing, and they want you to succeed in their very, very little ways, that they can help. Either to, hey, Keith, this guy might be of help to you. Can I introduce you? That is help, because they don't need to say that.
Yes.
They don't need to extend their help to you, but they choose to do that.
Right.
And that's something that's powerful, and you need to take that in, yeah.
Things just start to happen when you put intention to it, isn't it?
Yeah, and people can feel it. If you are determined, you really are on a mission, they'll help. And a lot of things, life is like that, you things might not pan out right away. But that's where the tenacity comes in, and if you're on the right track, people will help. Yeah.
It's interesting when I talk to you how many times this word value came up. So let me catch on this word value for a while, which I think is important. I want to re-emphasize this. In our conversation, a lot of our guest speakers, and the concern out there about AI taking over jobs and things like that, is in the context of value. If your job hasn't got the value that it deserves, ultimately the job will fade away. Whether is it AI or any digital innovation, it does not matter. We must continue to harness and continue to grow this value that could serve society for us to have a role. Wouldn't you say so?
I think so. I mean, especially in Singapore, I have my concerns. I mean, really, as we don't have a big domestic market, what do we have? We have the people, and you don't protect jobs by not automating things. Then as a society, are you moving forward? And the edge that we have over the last 20 years, 30 years as a leader, in ASEAN or Asia, it's fast diminishing.
Right.
To me, with internet, and I mean, this is going to be quite hard to take in. But when I travel to Vietnam, I see the youth, 90 million people, a lot of young people who are charged up. They want to build a better life for themselves. They really see the future ahead of them, and they are willing to take it. They're willing to, strive for it. That, to me, it's I see that as very vibrant, in Vietnam, Indonesia. So what do we have here in Singapore? where we are comfortable. We're all comfortable now. Do we have that hunger? Are we willing to rough it out? And how do we stay relevant moving forward? I think so. Back to my challenges, right? Sometimes I feel in Singapore there's good and bad. Why I say bad? I'll start with the bad first. If you are a technology company like me doing this, it's very different if you are based out of Indonesia or you're based out of a bigger country, because investors will see you as wow, your addressable market is so much bigger. Singapore, how big is that? So that is a challenge. There's like, okay, a tech company coming out of Singapore, okay, a tech company coming out of, say, Indonesia, wow, 200 over million people, you can, your immediate addressable market is much bigger. But I must thank Singapore. I'm educated here, and I grew up here. It's the governance, nothing political here, but I think the governance, the rule of law, and things that are being able to be done very quickly, the speed, because everything is efficient. That helps. And I think that's how Ella could really evolve so quickly. But you know what? We don't have the big market, right? We don't have the market. But so back to that question, how to be relevant. I think Singapore should really be a great place to trial new things, test new systems, and then because we're efficient at that, to roll out Ella as part of a smart city infrastructure, to work with the local transport networks, like the train stations, and then fitting that into, and then testing it very quickly, and then setting a blueprint as to how smart cities could be like in the future, and then exporting that know-how to our friends, overseas. I think that could be relevant, but we need to keep ourselves at the edge, really up there, and then to attract talents, to have the best people come to Singapore to bring us forward. I think that is important. Yeah,
it's so interesting, because you're just talking about talent, and that leads me to the next thing that is relevant to our audience. In this fast age of digital innovation that's accelerating, that's converging, and we have multi-generations coming to the workforce, and you work with young generations, your cafes, you have millennials, you have Gen Z, and then you have the latest tech all coming together. And some people is talking about this term called digital leadership, or leadership 2.0. Where do you see are some of the new leaderships today to allow you to motivate the younger generations and give you that edge with digital innovation? What sort of skills is needed for these leaders?
I think the leaders have to be relatable. I think a lot of the new generation, they are now, especially in Singapore, they don't necessarily look for that monetary returns, right? Monetary part is important, but they probably want to be associated with a certain cause. I am the movement, I'm part of the tribe, I'm part of that team that created this, that's going to change things. That motivation is what drives them, to be creative, to go beyond their job scope, to go beyond, and take that full ownership. You need leaders that can drive that vision, to motivate people to see that vision, and to pull them together, because the going is going to be tough. Sometimes you get lost because your vision is there, but it takes so many steps to get there. And sometimes, people get demotivated. Maybe things don't pan out as it is. But you need to keep them, close to you. I think motivation and a sense of purpose. And what are you really doing this for? I always tell my team, right, it's hard. And then precisely because it's so damn hard that we're doing this, but that's where you drive change. That's where you transform traditional businesses, and you are part of that. And what is your purpose of coming here? Why do you want to work with us? It's going to be hell. It's going to be really hard, but if you have a purpose, you want to, at least, so I always tell young people, if you are young and you have that energy, work hard. Take on as much as you can, because we are very adaptable. Humans are, the kind of stress we can take is pretty significant. We don't break so easily, and just push yourself hard. And if you are looking, especially when you're young and you can take it, all the knocks, learn as much as possible, and then push yourself further. And when you join, it's not because it's easy, it's because it's hard. Because you want to train yourself, and you will learn a lot. Because if you take on the jobs, and having that full ownership, right, meaning you're not just looking at your job scope, but to understand how your solution has to gel with the other departments and your co-workers, and collaborate with them at that level for deeper understanding, and you become an all-rounder. You kind of it's no longer just that job scope, it's about the final product, how I can fit in, solve that problem so that the final product works. And if you can have that conversation and they're very in sync, then they see the purpose, right, where they fit into that big picture. I think that's very important for the new generation. Then they feel significant in that sense. Yeah. But of course, also to give them an opportunity to shine, to bring in ideas, to question, and not be worried, and not be worried that I rather they try and it fails than to not try. They need to bring forward their ideas, and then be, and you can't sugarcoat anything. If it's shit, I'm sorry, pardon my language, it is bad, it's bad. Face it, it's not good enough, right? And then, but you don't get personal. There's nothing personal. It is bad. We have a better way to do it. Let's move forward. So if you are in sync, you will not be, you won't be down because if it's bad. You say, yeah, it's really not good enough, and that's just not our standard, right? We're moving forward. Let's find the next thing. I think that kind of culture, to reward and not blame. But blaming isn't about blaming the individual. You need to have a very clear understanding. We're here to create winning products, and be true to yourself. Is this a good product? If it's not good enough, we need to do better, right? And be clear about that. Then if you get that across, then people are motivated. They see, and when they see the little success that come along, they will spur forward, and I think that kind of culture will bring talents who want to make their time worthwhile.
Yeah, who want to make a difference.
Yeah, they want to make a difference, and then to have that kind of
Keith, I must say, I listened to your speech the last couple of minutes, and it resonates so much with me in so many layers. And one of the things that I felt was really similar is because when I go to work and I talk to my fellow colleagues, I'll tell them we're here to do the impossible. If we're here to do the easy, that everybody's doing the same thing. So what's the differentiation? Yeah. And I always joke with them, I won't insult you by asking you to do easy things. We're here to do difficult stuff. So I do understand where you're coming from and how you build that. Now, in this age of digitization, in this age of social media, you are an entrepreneur, you are a leader. How do you think and how do you see personal branding today? We are seeing trends that people no longer follow companies, people follow people follow the leader. So what's your take on personal branding?
So for me, I just wanted to solve the problem and create Ella. I didn't think about how that is evolving for me as a personal brand, but I get invited to share my story, and along the way I realized that people want to hear the ups and downs, and I want to share that because it's real, it's very real, and I want to share that with fellow entrepreneurs and people who just want to take interest in how our journey has panned out, and so I think that itself, I can say that it's beginning to become a people want to hear about my opinion, about why I do things, how that can impact society. And I think that is another avenue for the marketing for what we're doing. And it just came, I didn't plan for it. That's why I said, things, if you do something and you bring value, opportunities will come, and then just be open and just embrace it, and share like now. So I think personal branding is important because that conversation, that story behind what you're doing is important. Yeah.
So besides personal branding, which we are seeing a rise of importance, and I think you also begin to understand that it could be a powerful force going forward. What do you think are the roles of powerful communication and presentation skills in the world of virtual presentations and social media today?
I think it's super important, right? So, even down to like, interviews, live interviews on radio. I cringe when I hear myself on radio. I don't, I'm like, I'm still shy, and I don't dare to watch my own because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I will not be satisfied, for myself, right? So that's where you learn along the way, and then you learn to be calmer, to just talk, as it is. So that part there, I need your help, Tony. I know you're doing some AI work on helping keynote speakers on how they can improve themselves with a lot of 300 data points. That's very interesting, and I could certainly get some of that help.
Yeah, we're all using digital technology to augment our capabilities today.
I mean, that's where technology can come from all angles, right? From making coffee to helping your speech. So, yeah.
And we're totally in sync there, Keith. I heard so much today, Keith, so much from you. And there was some emotional aspects of this story of your life. And in this journey, whether is it your personal life or this journey as an entrepreneur, as a leader, was there a time that you hit a really low point in your life, and how did you feel and recover from that particular journey?
Wow, too many times. It's a very, very difficult journey, but like I said, there are a lot of small victories along the way that kept me going. There are times when I thought, that's it, I'm at a cliff, I'm done, that's it. To push for robotics and all the automation stuff and being bootstrapped, bootstrap meaning self-funded, with scrapping things together, when you need to make a purchase that costs a lot of money, robots ain't cheap, and you have a team of engineers, and every month, when the circuit breaker, when your sales are down, and I didn't let anyone go, and I didn't reduce their pay, and I took it on because I felt that we need to be resilient, and we need finding the money. It was really, really tough, and there were times when I myself don't know how I'm going to get out of it. Honestly, there were times when I just felt so defeated, but life goes on, and you feel really bad. You go to sleep, and the next day, you wake up and you get on with your work, and life goes on. And suddenly you realize that actually, if no matter how dire the situation, you get on with it, and somehow if you keep to it, there's a way, and then somehow someone comes along and help you, right? So that is blessings. Yeah, I've been through a lot of that, ups and downs all the time, even all the time. It's not like it's fun selling and it's always rosy and things just fall in place. No, and I think this is part of that struggle that makes you resilient, right? And just because every time that reinforces yourself that, hey, you know what, you're doing something right, because somehow, with all this help, with all these small victories, it can't be luck anymore. It's no longer luck. It's not like, oh, you're lucky, You cannot be lucky that many times. Something is right, but yes, the timing might not be there, or maybe the timing, you need to go through that. I tell myself, sometimes things don't pan out. It didn't happen as it is, but it only makes me stronger, right? And then sometimes things don't happen because for a reason, and then you get past it and you realize that, hey, it's a good thing that didn't happen, and you're more refined now, you have more clarity, and you move forward, so that's the journey. So I think you really have to be used to that, that there will be ups and downs. Life is not so, and because of the downs, that's why the ups are so great, right? So sweet, right. Exactly. Yeah. If it's all up, you don't feel the down, then what's up, man?
That's not life.
Yeah. So that's how life is unique. Yeah.
In this moments of doubts, in this moment of confusion, in these moments of pain, was there a quote that you live by that gives you that strength, to go through these difficult times?
Well, actually, my quote is not about getting through these difficult times, but rather I think it's about the value. I think all of us, we bring value. It could be friends, you bring value of friendship. You bring value of care. You bring value of kinship, or all that. Or you, as a business, you bring value to your customers because you created something that your customer is willing to pay for. You bring value to the employer because you solve the problems for the employer. You solve. I think in life is really down to the value, and I'm not saying value in monetary terms. It could be value in just like friendship, like I said. I value that. It's important. You need to bring something to the table. Not that I'm like, okay, it's not like, okay, if I meet you, so what's your worth to me? I don't mean that. But it's key, right? And it could be little things, really. Today, having this opportunity to share this in a very candid manner is value that you've brought, and I appreciate it, And I think the listeners are appreciating because you bring value to them as well. I think that is key. What value are you driving?
Right. Yeah. One final question, Keith. Yeah. I know COVID-19 has been a big game changer for Crown Coffee and Crown Digital. In this gloom and doom, what was that one thing that benefited to you personally due to COVID-19?
Personally, I think me doing a lot of push-ups.
Give us a number, Keith.
1,000 a day. Yeah.
1,000 a day?
1,000 a day, yeah.
And how long do you keep that up for?
During the circuit breaker.
Wow, would you mind showing us your physique for the audience?
No. So the circuit breaker. Circuit breaker. Half of my team, we have to follow MOM rules. So half the team works from home, right? We have a rotation. The tech team is pretty much on Zoom, or we use Teams, right? So, and then the cafe runs, but it's all takeaway. So no one's in the cafe, only delivery drivers coming in, and the last 3-4 years I had actually put on a lot of weight. When I'm stressed, I tend to eat. It's like my body's way of kind of like trying to
compensate.
Compensate for all the stress. I'll just eat myself
and working
silly.
in a cafe doesn't help.
Yeah, you're right. And then and I got a bit like the heaviest I've ever been, right? So the circuit breaker was a chance for me to like, okay, you know what? Since there's so many disruptions, and I'll disrupt myself. And I started off doing push-ups, 100, 200, and then after that I said, hey, I want to hit the milestone, hit 1,000, and I did it. I start the day with a sheet of paper. And I draw these lines, and then it's 100, and then 100 of these lines. So every time I do a 20%, I'll just cross it, and I did 1,000. Yeah.
I heard even the special forces don't do 1,000 a day, Keith.
That's, you know what, to do 1,000 a day is when you have a lot of time. Circuit breaker gave me the time, and, you know, in between. So what I'll do, like, I don't do it continuously, so I'll do, and then I'll get on with my emails, and then the minute I feel a bit better, I'll do it again. But I have a whole day, right, in the cafe. So and push-ups are great because you can do it anywhere. You don't need gym, you can do it anywhere. So on the floor, just keep doing, and you just count, and then you must have the progress. You need to, you know, strike it off. Then that reminds you, like, hey, you know what, you've already achieved this. You need that visual. This is how I motivate, right? You cross, and you already cross halfway, right? And you kind of like cycle yourself. You're halfway done, you know. The worst is over. You know, you're past the halfway stage, right? Push a bit farther. This.
And you found back your perfect physique in COVID-19.
Then I started racing again. I told myself, you know, I want to keep myself sharp. And then I picked up my karting again. So
awesome.
So that was great. Yeah.
So you found back your hobbies, you found back your health. Everything's aligned for you in COVID-19.
Yeah, in a sense, I had it's a reset button. You know, and then and to look after myself, because I told myself I need to be at the pink of health. I need to be fit and sharp. Racing keeps me sharp. Really, we live by the milliseconds, right? I need to look after myself so I can do better. You know, so obviously, like, before that was really roughing it out, you know, and then eating at irregular times, and putting weight because, you know, you stuff yourself silly because you're stressed. And now moving forward, we'll have a much bigger team after we fundraise. We have a much bigger team, and I have to be at my best. So it's also looking after your own body and, you know, mind. Yeah.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
You gave us so much today.
Thank you. I'm thank you for giving me this, this opportunity to share in a very candid manner.
Yes.
It's all not scripted, and just say it as it is, right?
And there's so much. There's so much powerful moments, and there's so much tips and wisdom for us, for aspiring entrepreneurs, to gain from this session and to get to know you as a person, Keith. I think that's a wonderful thing. You truly are an inspiring entrepreneur, and one of the only one that I know that is a robot entrepreneur today who's making waves. So once again, Keith, on the behalf of our audience, on the behalf of the show, thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you on board in our show.
Thanks, Tony.
And we will look forward to have a meal in your cafe real soon.
You know, come by. we're open.
All right. Take care, Keith.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.
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 Thank you, everyone, for joining me on the latest episode of the Tony Tan Show and podcast. I really hope that you find the content valuable that will help you to accelerate your life purposes. In order to find out more about our podcast, can I please encourage you to subscribe and like our channel so that you get the latest information on all these exciting episodes that's coming your way. My name is Tony Tan, and I'm bringing the future into the present. And I look forward to see you in my next session.